Welcome back to Quick Notes with Chris. Today we're going to be talking about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a really interesting book. It talks about understanding habits, how they form, how you can basically utilize them in order to develop the ones that you do look towards starting, and why it is that certain habits are harder to start than others. It's really awesome. I highly suggest everybody gives the book an actual read outside of this summary, because there's certain things that are more in depth, specifically things that you can apply in your life in order to actively basically putting yourself in a better position for whatever it is you're looking towards achieving. Now, the book does talk a little bit about fitness goals, but there's a lot of things that I noticed that you can actually attribute towards success goals as well. So if you're an individual who sort of always look towards starting new habits but they end up failing, this probably will highlight why it is that it does that. For example, if you've ever met someone or you are one of those people who set so many New Year's resolutions every single year that comes around, and yet for some reason it never follows through. Past, March, depending on how long you go in, depending on your discipline that you already have set up, chances are you're probably going to fall through on March or May, right? There's a reason sort of for that, because you didn't actually look at the new behavior and what it is that you're trying to achieve. So the book talks about basically four. So is the new behavior obvious, easy, attractive, and satisfying? If you can master all four of those, right, or at the very least attribute the new habit or setting it up in that way, then you've already mastered it. It's basically already set in. So the four laws of behavior change. The first one is that it needs an obvious cue, right? So many people who are like, I want to go to the gym. Right, I want to go to the gym, I want to get fit. Right, they might even go ahead and buy them gym membership, but the thing is they don't end up going, and the reason is they don't have an obvious cue. You need to have an obvious indication of when to go. So that can be as simple as setting it yourself with an alarm, right? But for most chances, or most people, they don't have days of the week they go. You set a standard within yourself in which when you're going to go. It might be an alarm, it might be a day of the week, it might be a certain time period, it might be a certain thing that happens. You can't rely on the feeling of being like motivation, because motivation isn't always going to be there. In fact, motivation, chances are, is going to be there 10% of the time if you're lucky. So the mood when you make the decision is going to be long gone. So you need to basically set up an obvious cue. For example, brushing your teeth. Something as simple as brushing your teeth, right? The cue is, for most people, it hits a certain time of night before they go to bed, they're going to brush their teeth, right? It's also something that they need to think about when they're going to do it, because there's an obvious cue. The next one is an easy routine, right? So many people overcomplicate certain things. For example, let's say you're wanting to go for a run, right? You want to go for a run, right? You've set it up so that you need to set up. You need to put your watch on, you need to put your socks on, you need to put your shoes on, you need to listen to the CD for 3 minutes before you leave the door, you need to have a shower before you leave. Keep the routine simple, especially before the thing that you need to do, in order to make sure that that's not an obstacle that you need to overcome, but rather than just the next step in the process. For example, if you can basically work it out the night before that you're going to go for a run, and all you need to do is basically put on your shoes and socks and shoes, then now you've mitigated the time thinking about it. The next one is attractive, right? Is the experience, right, does it look attractive to you? For example, if you initially go into the gym, it's all like for most people, when they first go to the gym, you need to make sure that it's an attractive setting, right? Are the people there basically going to be, nice to you starting out? Is it going to be intimidating? It needs to be an attractive thing that you're looking towards accomplish. Also, the goal, right? The goal at the end of it, is it an attractive thing to you? If it's not, then the chances are that your habit's probably going to fall. For example, if you just want to start brushing your teeth, right, and you don't understand the benefits of brushing your teeth, what's the likelihood of you keeping up that good habit? But if you start with the end in mind, understanding what the result is an attractive habit, whiter teeth, healthier gums, less basically dentist visitors, less of a dental bill, right? Of course, that's something that's going to basically attract you more towards continually doing it. So not only is like setting up the sort of habit important, but also understanding what it is that you're looking to achieve by the end of it, keeping that in the mind, especially while you're working. That's the key towards keeping the new routine up until eventually it becomes a habit that you don't need to think about. Finally, is it satisfying? This is probably the number one reason why so many people end up going to the gym. They end up getting the results, but it ends up falling through. So this book talks about tracking your results, tracking the days that you went into the gym, right? So something that I basically related to, I know, is that whenever I was reading books, right, I started off and I bought so many that it looked like such a huge challenge. But by the end of it, I ended up putting it in a separate pile of the books that I was reading, the books that were done, and the books that were not read yet. And basically, I got satisfaction or a feel-good feeling, and the book started to get taller than how I was. I was like, oh, that feels really good. Well, it's the same way, and you can actually utilize that in order to motivate and develop a level of, increased effort by viewing how far you've come, right? By viewing how far you've come. So many people make the mistake of not monitoring their workouts, right? Monitor your workouts, be like, all right, in the month of January, I did 15 workouts. That's amazing. These are the results that I got from 15 workouts, right? If you utilize those small successes, right, even though in itself it doesn't feel good, over a period of time, combination with the results, the attractive results that come from it, but also the satisfactions of the work that you put in, taking a step back, smelling the roses, looking at what you have accomplished and how far you've come, right? That'll motivate you in order to keep going, right? Allow yourself to keep going, keep moving forward, because you monitor. How many people talking about taking before and after pictures whenever it comes to working out? Well, there's a reason that you do that. It's because normally that's a huge motivator, right? If you're halfway, whether you're 6 weeks into the 12-week program or you're at the end of it, right, it motivates you to keep doing these good habits. So many times people who come out of a certain addiction and they want to break, when they take a step back, look at how far they've come and realize, have a level of track record and progress, they'll be like, whoa, I've done so much and I had no idea. I'm not going to throw all of this away. It's beyond the physical results, but also the mental. If you can sort of view what the work that you've actually put in over this extended period of time, it allows you to continue this habit, keep moving forward, and keep going, basically. So I highly suggest you do all 4 of those. So the first one is make an obvious cue, right? A reason why you're not wanting to do it, whether it's an alarm, right? You can't rely on feeling. The next one is an easy routine. Don't complicate the startup. The next one is the results attractive? If they are, keep that in the back of your mind, or the front of your mind specifically. Finally, is it a satisfying experience? Mark your results. Understand that the work that you put in is satisfying, right? Utilize that as further motivation to keep you going. The next one, out of starting and stacking, so that was stacking, all right? Stacking all those 4 things in order to create a habit. The next one is starting, all right? So this one is really interesting. So it talks about how utilizing the momentum of a previous created habit in order to create a new one, right? Now, this is awesome if you already have good ones, but basically, if you have a habit set, it's far easier to add something small to it than completely start again, right? So to give you an example, every single time you go to the toilet, right, that's a habit. You go to the bathroom to wash your hands. So the habit of going to the toilet, you've now attributed washing your hands. Now you have a 2-part habit. Now, if every single time you brush your teeth, you thought, I'm going to floss, then every single time you brush your teeth, that's the cue to floss, right? And you can start basically working this out. It's far easier to add an extra step to a workout than it is to completely start a new workout from scratch, right? Now, this basically relies on you already having some good habits in place, but you can start this as easy as getting up, right? If every single morning you get up and have a cup of coffee, right, you can sort of set that up, be like, oh, when I have this cup of coffee, I'm going to read while I'm drinking coffee. I'm going to read a success book 15 minutes while I'm drinking my coffee, rather than watching, TV or something like that. I'm going to utilize that time to be productive, right? And if you can do that, it sort of basically creates a level of momentum, and it's far easier to develop a positive habit from ones that have already formed. I actually didn't know this phenomenon. I had no idea that it existed, but I highly agree with it, especially if you're someone who's sort of more of like a lower step of action. So you sort of ease more into the changes versus doing massive changes. I highly suggest that's the way that you do it. So you can attribute that in so many different ways. Utilize the habits that you already have set and build on them, right? More positive habits. The next one is that starting ritual. So how many times, if you have gone to the gym, have you basically realized that when you're in the environment, you're working out, right? In fact, when it comes to basically developing a habit, it's all about basically being in the environment, because everybody can actually get fit from home. Everybody can get to a reasonable level of fitness, right? But the truth is, when you buy a gym membership, you're not buying gym equipment, you're buying an environment. You're buying an environment which inspires you to basically work out. And if you can understand that sort of concept, then basically you can take a step back and realize, all right, well, where does that environment kick in when no matter what, that I'm going to be doing it? So a famous marathon runner, when he was training, he said, all I cared about was getting my socks and shoes on, because I knew the second my socks and shoes on, I was going for a run, right? You can take that a step further. The car ride to the gym is basically the cue that you're going to follow through is going to the gym. If you can understand that, then don't think too much about what it is that you need to get doing, because you need to get done, because you'll fall into like a sort of overwhelmed feeling of the process, and just focus on the next step, right? If you know that no matter what, when you have basically, toothpaste on your toothbrush, you're brushing your teeth, then all you need to care about is getting to that step. And that's the same way with developing habits. Make sure that you just get to the step, that you know action basically is the reaction. It's like a domino effect. Once you push this over, the rest is happening. If you can master that process and understand where it is in your different basically aspects of life, then you can actually basically overcome the feeling of, I don't want to do this, right? I need to feel motivated in order to do this. But if you understand the thing that basically causes you to basically follow through on the task, then you no longer need to think about that. Just focus on that step, right? I know for me, whenever I'm going to the gym, the second I walk into those doors, I'm working out. That's just, it's not a question, right? Every single habit that you're trying to create has that. You know what I mean? I know that a lot of people, if they enter the lounge room, they're watching TV, don't enter the lounge room. The same goes with bad habits, right? Understand the cue, the thing that basically causes you to go towards the next step, whether it's positive or negative, and utilize that to put yourself in a better position for developing new habits. Anyways, guys, that's it for Quick Notes with Chris on Atomic Habits by James Clear. I highly suggest you don't stop there. Keep looking at the other videos we have on the channels to put yourself in a better stage for improvement and a position for success. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.